What's up, world? Jeff Lerner here, and I want to talk to you today about how to bulletproof your business using a modified version of The 8th Habit by Stephen Covey. So if you've read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you know it's a phenomenal book by Stephen Covey, who was a professor and a researcher on success and leadership. In The 7 Habits, he talks about, 3 personal principles, and then he has 3 social principles, and then he has this 7th principle, the 7th habit, which is sharpening your saw. And it basically says, look, if you've got 5 hours to chop down a tree, spend 4 hours sharpening your saw. So in the 5th hour, your saw goes right through the tree, right? It's about doing the work on yourself, taking the time to sharpen your skills, sharpen your mindset, sharpen your work ethic, your empathy, your communication skills, all the different facets of increasing your production capacity in the world so that you can get through the work more effortlessly, right? Now, the 8th habit, which he wrote, it was a separate book called The 8th Habit. He wrote later in life. He kind of saw the way the world was going. He saw that audience was becoming currency and that attention and awareness were kind of the new authority, and that your personal brand, personality-based, personality-driven marketing was the new impactful way of marketing. And in his 8th habit, he talked about finding your voice. That was your 8th habit, was developing your voice. So you have sharpening your saw is kind of where he left off this epic tome of productivity, right? The 7 habits. It ended with sharpening your saw. And then he felt like he needed to add on this 8th habit of finding and developing your voice, all right? So Stephen Covey's been dead for over a decade now. So let's fast forward and say, where are we in the world today? Well, first of all, he was right about finding your voice. Personality-driven marketing, getting comfortable enough in your own skin and with your own voice and your own message, your own identity and your own unique value proposition in the world to actually produce personality-driven marketing. Think about the world we live in. People are, at this point, almost to the exclusion of anything else, they're connecting with people. People aren't as connected to Apple as they are to Steve Jobs. Most people, if you say Tim Cook, they don't know who you're talking about. You say Steve Jobs, oh, that's the Apple guy. Steve Jobs has passed away. Tim Cook's the CEO of Apple. But people are connected to people. They're connected to Steve Jobs. They're connected to Elon Musk. Even Amazon, something as big and gargantuan and almost monolithic as Amazon, people are so connected to like a Jeff Bezos. That's just the world we live in right now. Look at the television. You have these TV shows, they're basically not even about anything. Like most TV shows nowadays could basically be called People I Like Doing Stuff, or People I Find Interesting to Watch Doing Stuff, right? It's not even like interesting. They don't even come up with plots anymore. That's the world we live in. Stephen Covey saw this starting to happen. And what I want to suggest, and if you wonder why I keep fidgeting, it's because there's like a gnat problem out here. And I figured, I'm like, do I mention it on camera? Do I talk about the fact that I'm like doing this, or do I ignore it? Well, I couldn't ignore it. There there's like bugs buzzing all around me. So the 8th habit, finding your voice, and then you look at the world we're in now and you go, man, he was right. Like, you got to find your voice and you got to use it. So I'm going to suggest an amendment to his anecdote or allegory or whatever you want to call it. If you got 5 hours to chop down a tree, don't just spend 4 hours sharpening your saw and 1 hour chopping the tree down. I would say spend 3.5 hours sharpening your saw and save yourself 30 minutes at the end. Shoot a video, some kind of promotion, some kind of documentation about the badass job you just did cutting down this tree with your super sharp saw. It's not enough to just develop your production capacity and actually go do the work. You got to promote yourself. Self-promotion is the new driver of the personal economy. And I say new, it's not really that new. It's been going on for a decade or longer. Stephen Covey saw it coming over a decade ago. But now it's past the tipping point. People don't argue about it. My job here is just to point it out. I don't think anybody's going to argue and say, oh no, Jeff, that's not true. It's true. It's happening out there. And frankly, if you're in denial about it, that's probably just your own insecurity going, I don't want to participate because I don't like the idea of putting myself out there. But it's true, and I think we all know it. So take 3.5 hours to sharpen your saw, an hour to cut down the tree, and take 30 minutes to go tell every flipping person you can find. Put yourself on the biggest, loudest broadcast medium you can come up with to promote the amazing job you just did of cutting down the tree. Modesty, false humility, this I don't want to promote myself, is an outdated, passé notion. Why? The world is too crowded. People aren't finding you. You have to be the biggest, loudest, proudest, most convinced advocate of your own value and the greatness of whatever you have to offer, and you have to go out there and tell everyone about it. I don't care if you're on the job market. There's billion-dollar industries around helping people put together better resumes, and now they do video resumes, and now you got to have a personal branding website just to go put yourself out there for a job. You got to manage everything about your reputation, manage all aspects of your appearance. You got to cultivate a brand now just to be of value in the job market. Well, if that's true, then what about a business owner? What about an entrepreneur? What about a creative? What about somebody with a new idea? You think you don't have to be bold and what some conservative, mild-mannered, insecure people might even call obnoxious, you don't think you have to be that way now to get traction in the market? You must. Yes, you still have to sharpen your saw. Yes, you still have to be great at what you do, but greatness isn't enough. Execution isn't enough. You chop down the tree faster than anybody. The tree falls a perfect clean cut. Who cares? If a tree falls down in the woods and nobody was there to see how awesome you were at cutting it down, then it might as well not have happened in terms of your own personal advancement. You've got to go tell the world, and that is a whole other saw that you need to sharpen. The saw of self-promotion. You got to sharpen that saw too, and you got to go do the work, all right? That's my message to you today, to promote yourself. Please don't be shy, don't be embarrassed. Don't mislabel shyness as modesty and then try to make it into some asset. It's not an asset. Being shy is not an asset in this world, okay? Put yourself out there, be bold, all right? And I'll be right there with you. Catch you next time.